Welcome to the Wow MD podcast, where in each episode you will get in 30 minutes or less valuable pearls about holistic wellness, anti-aging, hormone therapies, beauty trends, and other facts you should know about our medical healthcare system and your health that no one is telling you. My name is Dr. Mirala Chernayanu. I am a conventional board-certified OBGYN physician who, after the loss of my father due to a careless and uncaring medical team, decided to retrain and seek certification in anti-aging and restorative therapies. What I know, I am happy to share with you. Welcome, dear listener, to another episode of the Wellness Optimizing Warrior MD, or the WOW MD, which perhaps should be called the HOW MD, the Hormone Optimization Warrior MD. That's because in the last week, I introduced the concept of hormone optimization, a new concept born out of necessity to describe and identify a different tier of hormone therapy with a much higher purpose than just hormone replacement therapy, which is now just hormone therapy. Just a few words about why it's so important to consider hormone optimization rather than just hormone therapy, right? Well, first of all, let me start with, and again, this is a continuation of my discussion from last week's episode where I introduced this concept. And I'm going to continue in today's episode. And what I'd like to start with is something that you might have not thought about, but the main argument against hormone therapy, whether as a woman is aging or a man is aging, whether it is estrogen and testosterone or just estrogen alone for women and testosterone for men, is the main argument against this type of therapy is that aging is natural and losing our hormones is natural. And we should simply embrace it because it's meant to be. Now, I've used this analogy before, and I have said this in other podcast episodes, perhaps. Maybe I did say it in the book that I'm writing, but in case I didn't say it before, I'm going to say it in today's episode. Well, death is natural. So whenever anyone tells you that what you're going through is natural and you should just embrace it and put up with it, consider the fact that death is natural. So ask that person that's telling you embrace it, is normal, put up with it, it's nothing you can do about it, or you shouldn't do nothing about it. Ask them if you should also embrace death, accept it, and stop living, because that's pretty much what they're asking you to do. Well, what is true and the harsh reality of entering menopause and living life after menopause is the fact that your body, your mind, your emotions, as well as the control you have over all of these things, or at least you thought you had, this type of control will change and will do so drastically and rapidly the further and further away you move from the natural menopause. Yes, it is true that menopause involves a very severe hormone deficiency, specifically in estrogen. But it also involves a severe hormone deficiency in testosterone for the large majority of women and a massive and total loss of progesterone, okay? So the message that should be shouted from the rooftops and become standard of care is the fact that these hormone deficiencies, even though natural, can be controlled and can be restored and revived. Our body can be controlled, restored, revived with hormone therapy. Hormone therapy is able to prevent, to slow, and delay the inexorable, inevitable consequences of aging and allow our bodies to age in a way we desire, gracefully, optimally, maintaining and preserving physical, mental, and emotional functionality. That's what we all care about. We don't care about getting old, lying in bed and waiting for death. We care about getting old, but still being able to function until the sweet release of death happens, but should be in deep sleep when you don't even know it's coming for you. After you had a beautiful day, playing golf, hanging out with your friends, and having dinner out and celebrating something. So why is optimal hormone therapy versus just hormone therapy important? Well, because we need optimal hormone levels. They are important and they matter. We don't just want to administer hormone therapy to control symptoms. Optimal hormone levels is what you need to maintain optimal cellular function. And don't let anybody else tell you anything different. If your estrogen is brought back into your body as a form of estrogen therapy, but you get 25% of what you used to have when you were younger, well, guess what? Your cellular function, your metabolic ability to withstand damage and oxidation will be seriously diminished, most likely by 75%. Obviously, I'm playing around with this 75%. It's a number that's impossible to quantify, and I'm just throwing it in here to make a point. If you lose function and you bring back 25% of what you used to have, you're not going to get back to optimal, right? The biggest hurdle in feeling great is always related to the massive and severe hormone deficiency that happens as we age. That's why we cannot feel amazing like we did in our 40s as we get older. Fatigue sets in, and we no longer have the same stamina, endurance, capacity, and motivation as we used to. And if you're not aware of that, believe me, it's coming. Weight gain, it is a given as we age. Weight loss at a very old age is even more devastating than weight gain because it signifies loss of muscle mass. And decreasing muscle mass is indeed one of the huge problems which will confront any human being, male or female, as they age. I do want to continue the conversation around aging and the importance of muscle mass. It's going to come in a future episode. Stay tuned for that. But let's stay aware of the purpose of what I'm talking about in today's episode. It's the fact that the new formation of muscle and the repair processes in the body are driven by anabolic hormones like estrogen, testosterone, and growth hormones. These are the very hormones we lose during menopause. And these are the hormones that will decline slowly and silently with age until you come to the realization you have lost these hormones, and by then it's too late. Another issue is decreasing bone mass. It happens due to many factors, including the massive hormone loss after menopause, because the estrogen and testosterone deficiency in women and testosterone deficiency in men will snowball into a decreased drive and motivation to exercise. Well, we know weight-bearing exercise is crucial to maintaining bone strength, and the loss of estrogen and testosterone will lead to bad habits. You won't feel good, your mood is deteriorating, and you will have increased processed foods, increased alcohol. All of this will impact your bone health and lead to one of the most important and most preventable diseases of aging, osteoporosis. You don't have all that if you decide to optimize, and you do so, and you are careful with the hormone therapy. What about mood? Well, mood and concentration disorders are a massive problem as we age. How many women going through menopause and beyond worry about losing their mind to dementia because of the significant loss of estrogen is impacting their cognition, their ability to form new memories, their ability to sustain a healthy, optimistic, and happy mood. Many women go through this, the great majority of them. What about sex? Well, there's tons of sexual problems as we age. Many couples simply stop being intimate because there's a loss of sexual desire, there's painful intercourse, they drive lack of intimacy, lack of connection, and ultimately, in many circumstances, this will actually lead to the dissolution of what used to be a very happy marriage. What about high cholesterol and elevated blood sugar? All of these are major metabolic changes driving inflammation and deterioration of the body, leading to significant chronic illness like heart disease, hypertension, and diabetes. And trust me, you go through menopause, you lose estrogen, you will get higher cholesterol and higher blood sugar. And let's not forget osteoarthritis, a degenerative inflammatory change that's involving a variety of joints. It happens mostly in women, not so much in men. It happens in men, but this is a female disease. And it's very possibly an easily preventable aging disease. And we can prevent disfiguring and severely debilitating disease of osteoarthritis by starting estrogen and optimizing estrogen early when a woman goes to menopause. So all of these things I just enumerated: fatigue, weight gain, muscle loss, osteoporosis, depression, irritability, cognitive decline, loss of intimacy, high cholesterol, abnormal blood sugar, inflammation throughout the body, inflammation in your joints. All of these can be prevented and managed as long as they are addressed promptly and properly, and we do not ignore the hormonal deficiency caused by aging. So considering menopause as natural and possibly refusing to accept the reality and the possibility that hormone therapy after menopause, or for men when they have low testosterone, would be able to prevent chronic disease and a lot of handicaps that we develop as we age, could be a personal choice. How you want to live your life after menopause and what is to be the second half of your life. But if you choose not to use hormone therapy, well, do so with your eyes open and knowing exactly what you're going to get at the end of the road. All women have the right to know and be aware of what they give up when they decide to age naturally or live the second half of their lives without any hormone therapy. Having an in-depth conversation with a physician who specializes in hormone therapy, who can review all the pros and the cons, provide the appropriate information for a woman entering menopause, would be ideal. And it should be standard of care. All women should be given the choice. It should be their decision, your decision, how you enter and live life post-menopause, whether it's with hormones or without hormone therapy. If the physician who's advising you on the use or the avoidance of hormone therapy is someone who is trained and capable of administering and supervising hormone therapy, possibly optimizing your hormone therapy, well, that's awesome. But do not take advice when it comes to hormones from someone who lacks training, who will provide you with decades-old information, which has been debunked multiple times about how risky hormone therapy is for menopause and beyond. That is false information. If you hear that from anybody, please run. That's not the truth. This is twisted, misshapen, wrong information. Coming back to the subject of hormone optimization, it does require women as well as men to be aware that the medical professional administering and supervising your hormone therapy should be in charge of all your health needs, or at least integrate the hormone therapy with all your other health needs or problems that you have as you age. Here's the problem that I see with my patients and some of the patients that come to me only for hormone therapy. When your medical care is parceled in little pieces and each piece is managed by a separate individual, medical individual, let's call that a specialist, who do you personally believe will be the one at the helm? Who is going to coordinate your care and integrate all the management decisions? It will be you. And you do not have the qualification and you do not possess the information and the training needed to do that. Wait a minute. How would you be able to make a good decision when you have no medical education and you're not a doctor? How can you ensure your safety? How can you be sure that the sum of all parts of medical care with your cardiologist, with your internist, with your gynecologist, with your hormone doctor, with your rheumatologist, with your ophthalmologist, how can you be sure that all these doctors will be talking to each other? Because they will not be talking to each other. How would you know that the care provided by each one of them will be optimal when you actually end up going to 5 or 6 doctors throughout the year? There are people who believe that having a specialist for everything is better. More so, people today are conditioned to believe that because you go to a specialist for heart health, you somehow will get the best care in the world for your heart. That when you go to a hormone specializing in optimizing your hormones, you will get the best care for your hormone therapy because you are seeing a specialist. Well, If you see an internist who's taking care of your diabetes, your high blood pressure, your aches and pains, your respiratory infections, your allergies, etc., if you also see a gynecologist as a woman or a urologist as a man, all of this requires a lot of integration. In spite of electronic medical records and whatever patient, consumers, or doctors were promised, none of the promises were real when it comes to electronic medical records. Anything that came through after electronic medical records was an immense financial burden on the providers, a major slowdown in their workflow, and a complete and total lack of communications between doctors who are super busy with day-to-day routines, too busy to communicate with other doctors about what's happening to your health, and maybe coordinate the care of your other organs and systems and how the care they provide you for a specific system would impact the care you receive from other doctors. I don't have anything against specialized care. I do believe specialized care is needed and necessary. But when your specialist, who, by the way, you might be referred to by your primary care or your internal medicine doctor, does not communicate with your referral physician, or when his or her treatment recommendations contradict and undermine the referral physician, when they make a treatment plan and your primary care referral physician has no idea what is being done until you come back to that physician and let them know, all of this means you, the patient, the customer with no medical education, are actually in charge of coordinating and optimizing your medical care and integrating your hormone therapy with all of this. You are the only person at the helm of your healthcare and in charge of your wellness or health status. So what is this prolonged discussion on specialized care have to do with hormone optimization? My point is that optimizing your hormones means that whatever type of hormone therapy you are doing is safe for you, and it gives you the maximum benefits with the minimum or no side effects. And it also integrates well with all the other care you receive from other physicians, possible specialists. And it's actually impacting positively all the other systems. Here's the thing. Many women do not even disclose to other doctors that they are using hormone therapy because they get such a judgmental attitude from most of their other doctors who are serious naysayers and opposers of hormone therapy, especially when it comes to menopause therapy. They're not so judgmental when it comes to low testosterone for men. But man, when it comes to women and treating low testosterone, there's a lot of judgment there. I know for a fact that cardiologists believe that testosterone is good for men's heart, but they tell women that estrogen is dangerous for their cardiovascular system. I don't know about you, but that sounds sexist to me. But anyway, let's move on. It is true that the FDA removed the black box warning for cardiovascular events, stroke, heart attack, and clotting from all vaginal estrogen products, as well as transdermal estrogen products. However, imagine 2 decades of damage done, not just to the public opinion about estrogen, but to the education of generations of physicians who were told and instructed that estrogen is dangerous. And the majority of these doctors believed it. Luckily for the pro-hormone therapy movement, let's call it that, plenty of physicians, myself included, did not fall prey to this attempted indoctrination that estrogen is dangerous for women. How can a hormone that is written into your DNA code, that has accompanied you in your life as a woman through puberty, adulthood, motherhood, etc., suddenly be dangerous for you when you can no longer produce this hormone naturally? Well, in case you didn't know, menopause is unusual. And as far as we know, it's mainly limited to the human species and possibly the whales. Apparently, there's this grandmother hypothesis generated by the observance of menopause in whales. This hypothesis presumes that the whales are no longer able to reproduce in order for them to ensure survival of the species, like taking care of the young. So in other words, guess what? Grandmothers are highly useful for our survivals. We know for a fact that the great majority of women experiencing menopause do so with debilitating symptoms. I'm not talking about hot flashes and the sleep disturbance and low energy and irritable mood. All of this are terrible indeed. And they snowball from all the terrible hot flashes. But I'm talking about the impact of estrogen loss on the brain, with the lack of motivation, the loss of optimism, the significant loss of ability to focus or concentrate and remember and perhaps make new memories. How can a grandmother feeling this way shelter and provide for her younger children and grandchildren? I don't think that's possible. I'm also considering the joint pain and the stiffness, which is arthritis. It can be debilitating to a significant number of women as they age, impacting their strength, their flexibility, and making them more prone to a loss of mobility, loss of muscle strength, and injury while they try to take care of their younger children and grandchildren. And last but not least, I'm talking about the urinary discomfort that can plague many women who are getting frequent UTIs, needing multiple courses of antibiotic therapy, leading to digestive dysfunction and destruction of the intestinal lining and microbiome. Yes, I'm talking about the risk of incontinence and the need to wear diapers, a rising expense for all the senior women over the age of 70. So I guess I'm trying to make the point that women have not outlived their usefulness to our society simply because they're no longer able to procreate. On the contrary, a society without senior grandmothers, without their experience, their wisdom, and their ability to nurture and protect the young ones and the young ones' families would be a society very hard to imagine. Again, luckily, many doctors, myself included, have remained very faithful to the hormone therapy movement. Many doctors have made this huge effort. They made public appearances on social media, campaigned for the truth to be made available to the public and to the current upcoming generation of physicians. The fact that hormone therapy after menopause can be extremely beneficial to all women is indisputable. If you're listening to this podcast episode, you still believe estrogen is bad for you or carries risk for your health, or that will increase your risk of cancer or give you cancer, which is, again, even more ludicrous, please, I beg you, verify where this information is coming from and question it, because it is not true. If you listen to this podcast, hopefully you are a menopause hormone therapy believer or follower or both. So please send this podcast episode to others who might doubt it. Send it to your friends, to your family who have told you that hormones are bad for you. And how dare you consider hormones when they're so risky? We care for you. We want you to be healthy. We want you to live a long life. Well, you won't without hormones. So some people believe we live in parallel universes. And whether you choose to use hormone therapy or not, there might be a parallel universe where you have done the exact opposite. If you could travel between these parallel universes with hormone therapy after menopause or without hormone therapy after menopause, and if just, let's say, 100 people, 100 women in the world would be able to do that, wow, how amazing would that be? Obviously, such a thing is not possible. And in all honesty, the likelihood of this belief in parallel universes being true is probably a figment of our overactive imagination, but an interesting sci-fi concept, right? Here's the truth. It is very simple. As a woman entering or living your life after menopause, you need to be aware you only have one life, one choice. Use or not use hormone therapy. If you use hormone therapy and that's your decision, you have one life to live with optimized hormone therapy on one hand. And then on the other hand, if you choose to live your life after menopause as you age, not with optimized hormone therapy, just a little bit of estrogen, a little bit of progesterone, just enough to take away the worst consequences and symptoms, creating just enough improvement to keep you going and to be productive, those two are not the same thing. I have personally experienced replacing a little bit at a time, enough not to suffer, and I have experienced optimized hormones, enough to make me thrive, to bring me joy and happiness, flexibility and strength, resilience, clarity and optimism in the face of adversity, with the cherished ability to make good choices and decisions, which I was not able to when I had just a little bit of hormone on board, just enough to keep me going. I honestly wish all women lived their lives with the joy and happiness, the physical flexibility and strength, with the mental clarity and focus they require to live their best lives. I really don't wish you or anyone else a mild to moderate relief from feeling the terrible symptoms of estrogen loss. I wish you the amazing grace of living your life in a body without pain, without suffering, not weak, but strong. And unfortunately for that, hormone optimization rather than hormone replacement should be considered and should be desired and should be pursued obsessively. I'll leave you here and I'll chat with you next week. I'll think about something interesting to talk about. Thank you for trusting me with your time, and thank you for listening to today's episode. If the content I provided wowed you, was helpful and valuable to either you or someone close to you, please do me a favor and leave me a review. I am very open and welcome any kind of feedback as well as suggestions on any content ideas. So please forward those suggestions to Jessica, my patient care coordinator, through our website, herabeautyandwellness.com. And I look forward to our time together next episode.